You get. No, wait, now come over here. Come over here.
You can come over here.
Okay, now get. No, come here. Now get.
Oh,
Get. This is how the episode started.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God.
Come on over here.
Come over.
Oh, you get out of here.
Hello and welcome to the studio. Demands an exercise in creative thinking where we will challenge ourselves to conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film based on the demands and stipulations from one of you listeners acting as a hypothetical Hollywood overlord. We talk movies all the time.
All the time.
All the time. Okay, there you go. I was worried you weren't going to do
I was trying to do a dramatic pause. I was trying to get I was trying to do the backbeat.
Yeah.
It probably just right. Silence is a tool that you need to use properly, and I just I used like a hammer there.
You got to be careful with silence on a podcast because people, if you go too long, people are going to think that the something like, is my podcast still playing? Like you don't want to leave dead air.
Yeah,
because then people
I've had that happen on like tracks or whatever. There'll be a pause, and I'll be like, what happened?
What happened?
And then I'll go, and then I'll see I'll go forward and it'll be like, oh, they were just doing a weird pause thing.
They're doing a bit.
Oh, they're cute. Okay, fine.
We have not achieved. We have not reached the point where people are going to listen to Dead Space for a lengthy period of time and still be on board with us. I think there's.
You don't think so?
I don't know.
Clearly, I'm willing to push that
boundary.
I'm gonna make that bet.
You're willing to test. Okay, so every episode, Jim, you're gonna pause
just a slightly longer
to see how long people remain on board for this. My God,
that's a terrible idea.
We talk movies all the time, and as screenwriters ourselves and avid cinephiles, we'd like to believe that we can meet the demands of any studio at least as well as the screenwriters working under the restrictions and demands of the bigwigs fronting the bills in Hollywood. We will be your screenwriters for this episode. I am TC DeWitt, and joining me as always in mind, body, or soul is Jim.
Dramatic pause.
Burzelic. Oh, you couldn't handle it.
No, I couldn't. I had to break it.
How's it going, Jim?
It's okay. Your little intro there made me think of something.
What's that?
The term bigwig.
The bigwigs.
Yeah, because they have the big wigs.
Right.
Is that like referring to like the like British judges type thing, like the British aristocracy? I guess even the colonial aristocracy that would like wear big wigs? Is that what that's?
Is that what that's from? What's the origin
of
what is
big
the
wig
etymology?
Or like, does it referring to like the fat Quaker Oats guys?
The Uncle Ben,
because they were the Whigs.
Uncle Ben, Chef Boyardee, and the Quaker Oats guy are the real powerhouse. That's the movie people have been wanting to see, Jim. What's the team up between Chef Boyardee, Uncle Ben,
the supermarket verse,
and the Quaker, the supermarket verse?
I mean, that was Sausage Party, right?
Ugh. Oh boy, how you doing, Jim? I already asked that. When you showed up, so I spent. What are you looking around for?
I heard a sound and I thought it was a knocking, and it wasn't a knocking. It was the
ghost upstairs.
Yeah, it was the upstairs ghost.
I spend the day writing. I usually just sit alone all day in my hovel, just in my hobbit hole, just writing for hours on end, to the point where I like literally don't speak. So oftentimes when I do get a chance to talk to someone, I'm always like, hey, how's it going? Oh, it's good. Let me tell you about my day. Oh, and this thing happened, right? But you pulled up and I like scurried to the car with my arms flailing. And by the time we got to food, I had already smiled so much just being in your presence that the back of my head hurt.
Oh, well, thank you.
I just wanted to share that with the people. Yeah.
See, I am pleasant.
You dicks. We talked about it off mic a few weeks ago. That I wonder if that guy who hate listened to me because I laughed too much is still listening.
Oh yeah, he is making a supercut of your laughter.
Like, I don't think that's how I laugh.
Well, we'll find out when he releases that cut.
I look forward to that. Whoever you are, giving me a bad review because I
guy laughs too much.
Yeah, I laugh too much. I'm not listening to your podcast anymore. Every time I listen, you laugh too much. All right, so let's get to our demand for this episode. Our success as podcasters and screenwriters has given us a growing collection of demands from studios literally all over the world. I saw a few named. I saw one of our demands had the O with the line through it. I'm going to have to like Google
the null symbol.
No, like it was.
Like
it was like the Russian O or something. I don't know.
I don't think that's Cyrillic.
But it was. That's the name started with that letter. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you laughing because I interrupted myself?
Yes.
Okay. We have demands from literally all the world, and those studios are you listeners who have submitted your requests over at studiodemandsit.com or on Twitter at studiodemandsit. Or I realize if you would like to comment at us without adding us, you can hashtag studiodemandsit. If you were, say, like listening to the podcast, you wanted to say like listening to hashtag studiodemandsit, and they hashtag nailed it with their hashtag League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Millennium's End episode. I don't know, just as an example. I'm saying I saw that tweet and realized that's what we could. What are you looking up?
I found it.
What is it?
The O with a slash through it.
Yeah.
Is a vowel and a letter used in the Danish, Norwegian, Faroese, and Southern Sami languages.
Oh.
It is mostly used as a representation of mid-front rounded vowels, such as or I believe it's like a combination of O and E, I think, isn't it? Well, I sound like a jerk right now.
Our Danish listeners are just
except for Southern Sami, where it is used as an oe as a diphthong.
A diphthong.
That's a fun word. Diphthong. Diphthong.
Dip. Well, anyway, we got a request from someone.
Is now a grammar show.
I often mispronounced. There we go. Call back to something only we were privy to.
That's yeah. I wanted to make a not on the podcast. I wanted to talk to you about the pronunciation of pronouns and pronounce and how and why they should mean what they mean.
See, we're writers,
so this is that's the thing. Now everyone gets to know the conversation we're going to have later, but they're not going to get to hear it.
That's a teaser. We are screenwriters, and it's worth talking about words as a screenwriting podcast. Anyway, you can send your demands to us. Give it to us. We have to make it up here on the spot. Come up with something, and record it for your fine ears to take in. Boy, I'm all over the place here.
Our intro today, is terrific.
Let's hope the episode is this exciting. All right, what do we have today, Jim? I actually have two. Okay, so there are two here I think have a bit of an overlap. So here we go. First, this is from Carrie and Lex at Smile You're on Camera Studios. Okay.
Now I'm paranoid that I'm going to smile that I'm on camera.
You're on camera. Ooh. Did you think that when you were
looking
little?
Around the room?
Did you think you had did you have a Truman Show syndrome when you were little? Like, did you ever think you were on a TV show?
Well, no, when I was little, that like Candid Camera was still on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Back in my day. So everyone's like going in public or things like that. I'd be paranoid that a camera was watching and someone was going to jump out and laugh at me.
There's YouTube channels that do that sort of dickish stuff now.
Wonderful.
But it's less about like slipping on a banana peel and more about like getting punched in the dick.
Yeah.
You've been pranked, bro. My balls.
Oh God.
Okay, Lex and Carrie, sorry. This is from their demand. Okay. What? Tangents like crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. Why is it that in pretty much most horror franchises, there are so few memorable heroes? Ash Williams, sure. Ripley, yeah. Laurie Strode, I suppose. But who else? Who can name the heroes in the movies like A Nightmare on Elm Street
Nancy.
or Friday the 13th? Tommy Jarvis.
There you go.
Don't be a smartass. I think they mean
no. They're right
general.
Though. They're right because there's more than Nancy in Nightmare on Elm Street.
The studio demands a hero or a hero team that could be used to go against horror icons. Maybe this means going back to this is interesting. Okay, maybe this means going back to your Universal Dark Universe team. But our studio isn't demanding an Avengers. Smile You're on Camera is demanding you put this in the scope of classic slasher horror, not tentpole blockbuster. Craft a film using one of the lesser horror franchise characters, such as Leatherface or Warden from My Bloody Valentine. I've never seen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jensen Ackles is in at least the remake of it.
Okay. And write a hero or team that could be positioned as a new Ash, capital, not in that you should replicate that amazing character, but rather come up with a film idea that pits heroes against villains and leaves people remembering the hero and wanting more from them instead of more of the bad guy. Draw from franchises or creatures that you would like, and then there's a list of all the franchises and characters we could play with.
Ooh.
I'll rattle them off real quick.
Sure.
Okay. Candyman, Chucky, Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, Freddy Krueger, Gillman. I'm assuming that's Black Lagoon.
Maybe.
All right. Hannibal Lecter, My Bloody Valentine, Jason Voorhees, Leatherface, Michael Myers, baby, Pennywise, Annabelle, Billy the Puppet from Saw, Ghostface, The Mummy, zombies, vampires, werewolves. Okay. We have a lot to play with. You already are.
I have one idea that I want to get out there, and it's almost more of a plug, and then we'll get into the actual, because it's a super pat answer that I would love to see it made, but isn't quite the challenge.
Okay, so go ahead. I'll go to the second one's really short, but I'll go. You go first.
There's a comic book called Hack Slash that is that premise. It's about a woman who is basically like the final girl of final girls, and she goes out and she kills the slashers. Like some of them just straight up those actual characters, and others like knockoffs so that you recognize them and stuff. But yeah, that's what the comic book Hack Slash is about. So go check that out.
Can we crib that? I'll write that. Like, I'll write that right now.
Just do that franchise?
Well, no, I mean, like, I don't know Hack Slash enough to be like, I mean, if you know well enough that we could make an adaptation. I don't yet. I need to revisit it. Okay. Well,
but it's good. I wouldn't mind doing that as a license. I think that'd be really cool.
Okay.
If it hasn't already, I wonder if it is already. It's probably already being shopped around, honestly.
Let me just get the second one out here. This is from Shane at Mustache Under Dreadlock Studios. Great name. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Mustache Under Dreadlock Studios. So Shane says, a Sam Raimi-verse horror trilogy using characters from all of his films: The Evil Dead, Darkman, Drag Me to Hell, Spider-Man, etc. That's it. That's the full demand. Okay. So this is pretty broad as well as specific at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. So essentially we're going to come up with a horror movie here. I see what Carrie and Lex were saying. With our Universal Dark Universe, we did an Avengers. We did a horror Avengers.
Yeah, we did. Right, because Marvel is the formula that everyone gets to. You word it. You say it better.
It's the one everyone fails at.
That's it.
But they're specifically saying to stick more to the classic, more the lesser but mid-budget, lower budget. I think
the slasher thriller type movies.
Yeah. I think Invisible Man, the most recent one with Elizabeth Moss, the Blumhouse one, is a great example of what to do with the classic monsters, to do them as like low budget, mid budget.
Oh, like the way the Dark Universe has been continued.
Yeah.
The way they did Invisible Man
exactly
was really well done.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah. I like Shane's demand here of like a Sam Raimi verse. I that might be okay. What you're saying about Hack Slash, about taking like the actual characters or like variations of the characters and having someone like knock them off, that's kind of a cool idea. Like, I don't want to crib it fully, but I think that's a good starting point, especially with
so Hack Slash is a comic book series launched from several one-shots of the same name, published by Image Comics. The series was created by writer and sometime penciler Tim Seeley. The series follows horror victim Cassie Hack as she strikes back at the monsters who prey upon teenagers. These monsters are known as slashers and are a mix of original villains and crossover appearances, such as the appearance of Reanimator in Volume 1.
Ah, okay.
It's
well, what about that? What about like a team or like like the idea is to come up with a hero to. I see what they're saying about Ash. Like Ash is who you remember from the Evil Dead. Yeah, not the Deadites.
Mm-hmm. Well, you remember them too, but it's not like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger. Yeah. Right? I was able to say Nancy. I don't remember her last name. Right?
I wrote a Friday the 13th film, so I obviously knew Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong, Lex and Carrie, that the memorable icons are the villains. Name someone from the Saw franchise, right? No, it's Jigsaw and the dumb puppet.
Carrie always.
That's the actor. Donald Glover. No,
Chris Rock.
Sam Jackson. Yeah, you're just naming the actors who are in it. Not Donald Glover. Danny Glover.
Danny Glover. Yeah.
Jeez. But I see what the point is. That the point there is how many of these monster movies is it the hero that?
And so now, Ripley was mentioned from the Alien franchise, and that's fair. And Ripley is a good character, but that is actually a chip on my shoulder. I think that franchise would have done better. Again, Sigourney Weaver's great, but I think if that series had been allowed to move beyond Ripley before Ridley Scott came back to it with Prometheus, actually, I guess they did with the Alien vs. Predator movies. They're awful.
If they'd done it sooner. If they'd done it sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm
feeling very rambly tonight.
It was the burgers.
It was the ramble burgers.
We had ramble burgers. Yeah. Hashtag ramble burgers if you've enjoyed this episode so far. Right, like the aliens, like Ripley is a great character. I don't want to do another sci-fi horror movie.
No.
I think
I'll do it by God.
The demand of a slasher, something in the tradition of Jason Voorhees and Mike Myers and Freddy Krueger. I think that's the way to go there. Yeah. I don't want to specifically do a Sam Raimi verse and just use his library to create but I think
what does that look like when Spider-Man crosses over with the Deadites?
Well, I mean, Shane probably took inspiration from the scene in Spider-Man 2 when Dr. Octopus's arms come back to life. The bone saws the chainsaw, and you get the zoom in of the woman screaming. It's shot like an Evil Dead scene.
Yeah.
Right. So Spider-Man versus Deadites, what does that look like?
Yeah.
I don't know. Would Tobey Maguire do it?
What else is he doing? He's doing Spider-Man.
Apparently,
No Way Home.
He's in the new Spider-Man. But I think that's something to consider. This is why I thought there was an overlap in here in just skimming them. I didn't see specifically that it was those Sam Raimi movies. I just saw
it's any of his and any of the Sam Raimi movies, but we're right. We would hit the big ones.
So Sam Raimi movies, come to think of it, if Evil Dead, Darkman, and I mean, let's cut Spider-Man out of this, but just Evil Dead and Darkman, those two movies are the heroes, like Ash and Darkman himself, Liam Neeson, right?
Yep.
So imagining, Ash versus Hellraiser, Ash versus Freddy and Jason, like that sort of Ash versus the Marvel zombies. He's been used multiple times as a character.
Well, and especially after seeing the Ash versus Evil Dead TV show, actually, I could see crossing over, definitely episodes, because the Deadites are getting all over the place in the TV show. Ash has to go to, I forget what city Darkman is in, but Ash has to go there and crosses paths with Darkman, and has to take out some Deadites together, and has to go to New York, and Spider-Man is answering the call there's danger over here. What's going on here? We're gonna
Chainsaw Hand Man. Are you the bad guy? No, I'm the good guy.
That would actually be a great initial encounter.
Yeah.
Right. Ash is tearing up some Deadites, and Spider-Man thinks this chainsaw dude is chainsawing some people, not realizing that they're taken over by evil spirits.
Idiot! Let me go, spider guy. Hey, chainsaw guy. Chainsaw hand guy. But I don't I don't want to just do Evil Dead.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just creating anecdotes. I'm not putting, the Deadites get out and they do all the greatest hits of Sam Raimi.
Well, let's consider it like a team. So the First Demand said a team or a hero. What how about a team of a group that goes sort of cribbing off of our own Universal Dark Universe?
Well, it wasn't even the Dark Universe. In our LXG 1990s LXG, we went sort of that route. We had Laurie Strode led the team.
Yeah.
Now, granted, from there it was bad guys, right? Chucky was on the team, and we had do we have any other killers? Any other slashers?
Terminator, I suppose. Original Terminator is more of a horror movie than
that's true.
Lasers and robot sci-fi kind of level of horror.
Yeah.
Well, like going off the list here, there was a bunch that I don't know. Like, for example, I didn't know My Bloody Valentine.
I don't remember how it's formed, but it's about sort of like a haunted mine.
Yeah.
And this miner comes back and he kills some teenagers on like I think it's like a Bloody Valentine's Day type thing. Like he died or he like went crazy and killed a bunch of miners on Valentine's Day or something.
Right.
And so now he comes back every Valentine's Day
to kill again.
Yep.
Well, okay. Where to start here? This is interesting. I thought you'd be the right guy. Like you're going to guide me through this because you are more versed in horror than I am. Despite the fact that yes, I did do a Friday the 13th. Yes, I did that on commission, and it wasn't like I'm obsessed with it.
Aside from that one assignment, you don't indulge in this
slasher,
genre, in this subgenre.
I've seen my fair share of Halloweens and Jasons and Freddy Kruegers and whatnot. But taking like say like The Hills Have Eyes Hicks and Leatherface and those Hicks and like just grouping them together and then sending someone after them to like take them out. But then adding like a Jason Voorhees on top of that, right? Like,
sure,
because it would be. Is this some sort of like road movie where they just go from like kill to kill, or
sure? I think that's where I would start,
as opposed to just like this is the one assignment. The whole movie's about taking out the one villain, right? Because then it's just Michael Myers. Then it's just another version of Halloween, as opposed to
the thing is, the people who are really into each of the franchises, they actually do know all the names of the characters and when they die and every important thing they did. Like they're very each franchise has their audience, and so they know the characters that would. I don't know why I'm saying like I don't know why. I don't know what point I was making.
I understand.
We're going to make some new people.
Yes, yeah. Instead of saying like let's get Tommy Jarvis and team him up with Darkman, I like the idea of having, instead of specifically saying Jason Voorhees. We've been joking about this in one of the screenplays we've been working out, but by saying I have a Jason problem, like having some sort of term, like an undead killer, like an undead machete wielder or something like that. Having analogs for like because then you don't need to worry about the IP.
Sure. How about we start with Lizzie Borden?
Ooh. 40 whacks of the wet noodle, Bart.
That's a really good voice.
So Lizzie Borden, the serial killer.
So what I'm thinking is our story is based around we have it be where she wasn't just like crazy or it wasn't a human reason. Like there was a supernatural reason why Lizzie Borden turned on her family. And whatever that was, the first idea that comes to mind is some sort of demonic possessor.
Okay.
And the thing is, it's one of many. This smacks of like several like not Hellraiser, but Hellblazer. Hellblazer,
like John
or
Constantine.
like oh, we're chasing down demons, and so I'll start there, and you can say yay or nay.
Sure.
But yeah, so the idea is these demons go around possessing people, driving them to murder, and our main character or characters, like they're the ones who have an encounter with them, and thus. And it becomes their calling to chase this demon down.
Oh, okay.
And to stop it.
Like these guys are like, okay, I have only seen a handful of Supernatural, right? But
sure.
That's sort of what the plot of that is, right? Like they're the Winchesters. So you're suggesting are they like an elite group of are they like an elite group
I wasn't going to do elite group. So Supernatural is a good example because it starts pretty much the same way. The Winchesters are a family, and then one day the mom gets killed by a demon, and that the dad
Jeffrey Dean Morgan
becomes obsessed and just dives into hunting down. it wants to find the killer of his wife, but also in so doing kills all of these other monsters, and as a bad father brings his children along to do this with him. So like from a very young, from basically like Dean is a teen and Sam is a tween when they start doing this. I think they might have even been younger than that. I don't think so though. When they start becoming hunters.
Yeah.
Flash forward the first episode. Sam is trying to leave the life. He's graduating from college. He's got a fiance. I believe she's a fiance at the time. And he's like, "No, I'm out. I'm not doing this. Dean, go. You go be a hunter. I'm not doing it." And then his girlfriend is killed by the same demon.
And then it becomes hunt that demon.
Yeah. And so the Winchester brothers are back together to do this. And it's a very monster of the week.
Sure.
But there is also the through line of trying to hunt those demons. Right. So they hunt all sorts of other things.
Right. Well, to go to your original, you started pitching the idea of like Lizzie Borden was a demon.
The reason I was going that way. Yeah. And it is a demon. And so that introduces sort of a larger paranormal cosmology, which may be okay, but I wanted to keep it more along the lines of like slashers. So that's why it's this possessor. So it's turning people into killers. So we're not jumping straight to werewolves and
right. I'm with you on that.
Chupacabras and stuff like that.
Let's say this is a world, the world that our characters exist in. There are paranormal things, vampires and werewolves and zombies and whatnot, but they're not. Like they're regional, I suppose, and maybe we have like a task force of sort that like they get called. They're the A team. They're the A team of monsters, right? But their speciality is specifically slashers. Like they go after the Jason Voorhees and the Michael Myers.
So there are no general monster hunters. There are werewolf hunters and vampire hunters,
right?
And our hunters are slasher hunters.
Yeah, maybe.
That could be something that eventually comes up. At this point, I feel like we're crafting a show and not a movie. I like the idea. So there's another franchise that does sort of what I'm thinking, and that's the Phantasm franchise. I don't know if you know what that is by the title.
Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms. No, I don't know what the Phantasm.
Phantasm was a franchise with the Tall Man. He was he wasn't the guy who played the creepy priest in Poltergeist, but he looked a lot like him.
Okay.
He's a really tall guy, white hair, old guy, and he had this super creepy look. But the thing that people I think remember most from Phantasm are the floating silver balls. They float around and like knives pop out of them, and they shoot over and they stab people.
Oh, good.
And they're evil, and they do they get more abilities in the sequels and stuff like that. So in that franchise, they do a few interesting things in the Phantasm franchise. We meet the very first characters. I'm forgetting their names, and I don't want to look it up.
The whole point of this whole demand is you got to remember these names.
Well, we're going to make characters that we do remember the names
gotcha.
of. But in this movie, we meet two characters. Like several other characters die, but two characters come out alive at the very end. And we actually stick with them through the entire franchise. And even more interestingly, that franchise is supposed to take place in real time. So the number of years that pass between 1 and 2 and then 3 and then 4 is the amount of time that passes in that world. So when they make the fifth one 20 years later, it's been 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
I don't know. I think that's an interesting detail that most movies probably have, but is sort of glossed over.
I like that.
But at going into the sequels, like there's a voiceover at the beginning where they're like, and we've been chasing this because like the Tall Man has like ways of like moving around space time that normal people don't. And so these guys get in their I think they might have even had an Impala and they're driving across the country trying to track down these crematoriums that are killing people and stealing bodies and sending them to possibly Jupiter.
Okay.
It's weird. Portals, like there's the Tall Man and he kills people and he calls everyone boy. And then he has minions, which at first they look like Jawas.
Oh.
And like at one point they attack them. And the thing is, they're very tough. They're very heavy and dense and tough. And they knock the hood off of one of them. And it's this like grotesque, reconstructed, but also decomposing face of a human. Ooh. And they're like, oh, these are the corpses that are being stolen. And they're going through these portals, and they look through the portals, and it looks like Mars is what it looks like. But they're like, it must be Jupiter, because like they say the gravity there is so much heavier
that it's crushing
the corpses down into these
the 80s
Jawa size minions. And they're chasing the tall man, who has all kinds of crazy powers. And they have, I think in the sequel, Reggie was the name. Yeah. Reggie's the name of the cool older guy he's balding, but also has a ponytail.
You know, Lex and Carrie asked us to go into like obscure franchises. You're doing it, man. You're living the dream.
Reggie's the best. He builds a 4-barrel shotgun.
Ooh.
Yeah. All 4 barrels are next to each other.
And not grouped in a square.
Yeah. Not grouped in a square. They're all next to each other. So,
wow.
So it has a handle. Boom. It's so good. And they're hunting down the tall man, and it was predates very obviously Supernatural by decades.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I'm so proud that I remembered one of the characters.
You were suggesting
sorry. The whole point to bringing that up is these characters don't meet other people who've been doing this. These are the only survivors, and kind of like Ash, in that. There's no network to plug into. There's no sage who's going to be like, this is the way to do it, kid. Like, I like the idea that these characters are the ones to do it, because there is no one else to do it. Mm-hmm. So there isn't, oh, you guys hunt those monsters. It's,
right.
No one's ever hunted monsters, because the monsters just kill people. So
having like, it's funny because you're always against like chosen one storylines, but you're saying specifically these are our heroes. We're going to go with more than one, right?
Well, chosen ones are ones who are literally fated. There's a prophecy or whatever.
They're just the best of the best. We've got the A team of monster hunters here.
The lucky ones.
Yeah. Oh, is that the name of this? That's probably the name of another movie.
Maybe.
So these are the only, and they're specifically going after slashers is what you suggested. So werewolves, vampires, we're not putting that in this universe. We're specifically putting the undead machete wielders. So like, would Freddy Krueger fit into this? Would Cenobites fit into here?
Ooh, Cenobites probably not. Yeah. But the guy who was trying to recreate his body from hell would.
Okay.
The actual Hellraiser.
So could it be? Could it be?
I think so. For the whole cosmology, the direction I would like to go, our heroes, our monster slayers, are the only ones they know of that do this. I'll give you one. They might run into another person who does this, but there's not like a network, because like with Supernatural, we find out that Jeffrey Dean Morgan actually married into a monster hunting family, and that's why the family was targeted. It becomes this huge legacy drama thing.
Yeah.
I want the reason these people are hunting the monsters is because they survived and no one else will believe them to do it.
So they're the Scooby Gang.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't know or understand all of the supernatural forces at play. All they know is that dude's cutting people up and we need to stop him. And maybe they start catching on to other things like, oh, that symbol keeps showing up. So it means this. We're going to go to the library. We're going to look. Oh, it's this evil symbol, right? Like I would way rather have it be people learning the quote unquote trade as they go, rather than there being.
Let me throw this as a suggestion, just to sort of like a call to action, as opposed to just just kicking this off by being like, we're on to our next mission, just to kind of give them that moment of call to action of like, this is having say like there's always like a local sheriff character in some of these movies, right? Maybe like a local sheriff who's aware of our monster hunting team here, to be like, hey, we had an incident. I was told to call you guys. Like, what gets them there, right? So if there's say there's like a series of machete murders in Long Beach or something, and then a sheriff calls up hey, I know you from something. I called you in. Can you take care of this problem? no one's believing, like, right, if there's like someone who's like, I think there's a Jason running around and no one believes me, but you guys believe me, could you handle my Jason problem? Right?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to think like how to kick off this story, and like, who are they chasing? Are they going after specifically?
Maybe I misunderstood, because now whenever I hear like Avengers, I assume the request is to do like the MCU, like do
they said don't do that.
4 separate stories. Oh,
they said don't. They said they're not asking for that. They're not asking for a tentpole movie. They're asking for a slasher movie, low budget.
No, so not but still, like I thought the idea was still to have separate stories come together to then form a team. So it would it'd still follow the formula. It just wouldn't. No.
What the demand to just go back here is, the studio isn't demanding the Avengers. We are demanding you put it in the scope of classic slasher horror, not tentpole blockbuster. Craft a film using one of the lesser horror franchise characters, such as Leatherface or Warden from My Bloody Valentine, and write a hero or team that could be positioned as a new Ash, not recreating Ash. Rather, come to a film that pits the hero against the villain and leaves people wanting more of the hero or heroes as opposed to the villain. So I'm interpreting that as, don't do, here's your Iron Man, here's your Captain Man, blah, blah, and I'll put them all together and they go up against a Loki. No, from what I understand, where I think you were already going was, these guys travel around in a van and they show up and take care of business and they handle the Jason Voorhees and then they move on to the next one.
Sure.
That's how I interpreted it. And I thought that's where you were going with it too.
Sort of. Yeah. Sure. I don't know where I was going, but I will calibrate to that.
Right. So this isn't meant to turn into like the end of Suicide Squad, where you got blue beam of light and take out the witch that's going to consume the world. This is stop the machete maniac.
Yeah.
Or the Freddy Krueger.
I took the no, it's not it's not a defeat the end of the world thing. I thought it was going to be like a 4 different survivors come together to fight.
Well, I think there's something to having 4 survivors. Right. I'm suggesting these 4 survivors have been working together. I jokingly said the mystery or the Scooby Gang, but sure. It's Velma, Daphne, Shaggy, and Fred, and they have been doing this for a while, and we are just picking up. We don't get their origin; they have already been doing this. They're the A-team. They show up because they were called into action because they understand undead machete man that is terrorizing a town. Like we'll go one better. Let's say they show up into a town that, like, the incident that they are taking care of. We could cold open with them ending a Freddy Krueger. Like they finish it with that just to introduce us to the gang. And then they roll into town thinking they're moving to the next machete maniac. But we have a Mike Myers, a Cenobite, and a creature from the Black Lagoon all at the same time. And those 3 have teamed up and they're terrorizing a town. And our heroes are shown up to like, let's kill these things. No,
yes, no, yes.
Like let's say someone, let's say these supernatural paranormal slashers were captured in like when Peck undoes the Ghostbusters containment unit.
Sure.
Right. Like if there's a containment place and some happenstance cracks it open, and now it's like, well, shit, we're taking on more than one monster at a time kind of thing. I don't know. I'm all over the place right now. I'm just trying to imagine this as
ultimately what I think what makes the hero memorable is what they do to survive in those movies, right? Ash has to cut off his own hand and he replaces it with a chainsaw. Right. Like he is a crazy man unto himself.
Ooh, dead air. Oh,
sorry.
You paused.
I'm trying to think, like, because Ripley is really impressive. I'm not sure Ripley earns quote unquote earns the that memorable hero status until Aliens,
when she's in the yellow get away from her, you bitch,
and
the
puts
mover.
the machine gun and the flamethrower together. Yeah, it does that the whole thing at the end where she takes it on.
Well, could we make our team of 4? Let's say it's a team of 4. I'm not trying to make Scooby-Doo, but that's what I'm going to template this on. Could we have, say, an Ash analog, a John Constantine, a Ripley, or am I just doing League of Extraordinary Gentlemen again?
Doing a little bit of LXG there.
Okay. I guess I don't want to go there. I'm just trying to think if there's like specialties in this group. Thinking of like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV series. You had Buffy, Willow, Xander, and Giles.
Well, I think what I was building toward by mentioning that is, I don't think we should have these characters show up with their kit and knowledge and ready to go. I think what makes the handful of memorable characters, not like less than a handful of characters memorable, is seeing their journey to becoming what they are. Okay. Had Ash just shown up with the chainsaw, I mean, it's still quite a visual, but I'm not sure it would have been the same as seeing him tie down his own hand and then fight it yeah. Okay. So I feel like the origin of the hero is a part of it.
Well, I'm to counter that. I'm agreeing with you because typically that's where I would want to go too. The origin is usually the most interesting story of any franchise. Look at Marvel. Like they knocked out a lot of really great origin stories, and their follow-ups more often than not were not as strong. But shit, I lost my thread by tangenting mid-sentence. I'm with you on the origin, but okay, I'm going to counter that with, if I pop in Friday the 13th, if I pop in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the origin of the people who are going to die in this, the kids, the teenagers, they tend to have very little development. The most development is typically going to be Last Girl. So Nev Campbell from Scream, which follows all was that Wes Craven?
Yeah.
He checked off every trope that existed throughout the 70s and 80s to craft Scream.
Sure.
And while I'm on board by saying, like, let's introduce these characters and earn their place as the heroes, more often than not, especially for the amount of these horror movies that exist, the origins for the heroes don't really matter. It seems very, yeah. Okay, these are the teenagers who are going to die. Right. And okay, how about this? We have a team of...
but then explain like Evil Dead, that was, these are the teenagers that are going to die.
And Ash,
Ash stood out.
That's what I'm going to suggest is, let's have a team that is more or less competent and then chip them off. They're the victims, right? So that the hero that comes out of it is the one that's like, holy shit, show me more of, it's Ash surviving in the cabin. It's Alice surviving in Resident Evil, right? Like, start with a group that seemingly seems competent, but those will be our victims. No?
Okay. My hesitation toward that is, I loved it. The first movie I ever saw by Paul Thomas Anderson, by P.T. Anderson, was Resident Evil. And he put together a competent team, and then it was super shocking to see this awesome team, like, oh, we're going to see this team do cool stuff. They all get chopped up by lasers. They get chopped up in a laser room. You're like, oh no, we're left with 3 people. Oh my gosh. It was amazing. And then he did it again and again and again and again and again. And so... Ooh, I don't know if it's just me and my reluctance to do that, because honestly, it's still
Paul
cool.
W.S. Anderson has gotten
WS. It's W.S., not P.T. That's the
Oscar winner.
He's the good one. I like him. I'm so sorry, P.T. Screw you, P.W.S. No, don't. No, I'm kidding about that. Please let me come on to your set. I want to be on. I'll die in your movie, please. I don't know what's happening. What's happening? Who am I? I'm begging. I'm begging on the podcast.
Do we need a moment right now?
I don't.
All right, sorry.
What is happening? Rambleburgers.
I see. It's the goddamn Rambleburgers. Hashtag Rambleburgers. I see your point, and I don't. We don't have a solid. This is a lot of like, we're kind of grasping at straws right now to try to see if we can build a house.
That's why I was trying to come up with a bad guy.
Right.
If we can come up with a bad guy, we can come up with a good guy.
Right. Well, I what did you think of having a couple of these? Like if it's the containment unit getting broken idea of like, okay,
sure, that right, like that's what I was trying to sort of build the backstory.
Yeah,
say that so rather
Lizzie Borden, going back to the demon possession.
Rather than have to use a name that's copywritten, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, any of that, have it go back, make it sound like an older legacy, and they're just using a reference to an olden time version of it. Lizzie Borden.
We got a Lizzie.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That was the idea, and then from there we can.
Okay. But could we? Okay, so I like your idea. Maybe that some of these slashers and these undead machete wielders are all being possessed by a reoccurring demon or demons, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to say like, well, let's have a few monsters in here. Let's say we have 3, right? If there's 3 or 4 that they think they're going to take out, and then one of them, I guess I'm kind of like alpha-ing it. We were discussing a different movie before this, having an alpha version of the monster.
A little bit. No, that's okay.
If it's like we got this small town is being terrorized by a slasher. Oh no, it turns out there's multiple slashers. Let's take out the multiple slashers. Oh shit, they are answering to one prime slasher.
Sure. Like right, they've been following these trails.
Yeah, yeah.
And they think it's 1, maybe 2. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're both in this town.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, there's like 5. There's 10 of them.
They're being drawn.
What is happening in this town?
Yeah.
Like they're coming together for a reason.
And then thinking we just got to take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only to find out like, sorry, I'm like my idea salad here. Let's say, okay, one of our characters, one of the like A, B, C, D, like C goes up against a slasher and dies. And then A, B, and D show up like, oh my God, C died. But the slasher's also dead. But C didn't kill that slasher. If like the prime monster is actually also taking out monsters as well. Right?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
It's fine. How does that help us craft a memorable hero?
I'm thinking like Dutch from Predator, where like he's just knocking off the elite one by one until Schwarzenegger's the only one left.
Sure.
Like, come on, do it.
Oh, I see.
Come on, do it. Right? Because like Dutch, they thought they were going up against gorillas, only to find the gorillas dead. And that there was another monster that they hadn't considered that was actually the threat the whole time, right? So if they're showing up to take out a Lizzie and an undead machete and a Cenobite, and then to find out like some of their people are dying, some of the heroes are dying, some of the monsters are dying. It's like what's going on? There's more happening here that we don't realize, only to discover that there's a prime monster that it comes down to the monster versus our Ash, our last man standing, or last girl standing, our final girl. And then you have your climactic survival. I'm going to let you digest on that. Why don't we take a break here? Because we got a lot on the table.
This whole first half has been very chaotic.
That's all right. We have a lot on the table right now. So let's take a brief moment here. Let's get a word from 6'5 Media, and we'll come back and see if we can't sort of like hone in some of these ideas.
I'm sorry, Paul W.S. Anderson.
Paul W.S. Anderson. He's coming for you, Jim. All right, we'll be right back, everybody.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Mike.
And we are brothers-in-law. We both love beer and are amateur home brewers.
Wait, so does that make us brothers-in-law?
I believe so.
Every episode, we will talk about aspects of beer and home brewing.
But nothing super technical because we're learning this too.
So join us as we sit down together and dive into something beer-related.
Whether it's a little field research, tasting a certain beer style, or beers from a specific brewery.
Talk about our experiences brewing beer at home, including our own solo brews, as well as themed competitions we'll set up along the way.
We will also talk about some of our favorite aspects of brewing, like hops, extra ingredients, building our brew cave, and more. And of course, our own misadventures that have happened along the way.
So, if you like beer, are home brewing already,
or if you have an interest in home brewing and don't know where to start,
join us on Brothers-in-Law Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
And make sure to follow us on Twitter at Brothers-in-Law and check out our website, brothersinlaw.com.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to our new podcast. Welcome to our new podcast.
This isn't working.
Agreed. I think we're going to have to do it turn by turn.
Well, now that you mention it, we are a brand new RPG video game podcast.
Our very existence hinges on turn-based gaming.
So join us on the Turn by Turn podcast, where we'll be talking about
Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Golden Sun, Shining Force, Mother, and so many more.
It's your turn to come and join us.
Okay, and we're back. I'm just going to repeat exactly what I just said. I'm going to try to sell you on something so we at least have a template to work off of.
Yep.
And either you're going to say, no, let's not use that template, and we just have to figure out something else. But we need to take, we have a lot of ideas on the table right now, and I think some of these are really compelling. I can feel myself wanting to write some of these, but we need to like fine tune it. Okay.
Sure.
I think I'm going to try to sell you on the Scooby-Doo gang versus Predator. I want you to imagine the Scooby-Doo gang in the movie Predator.
Yeah.
Okay. What that comes with, if you take that as our template, is 4 or 5, if you want to count the dog, personalities and character archetypes versus a monster. Mm-hmm. Now, I know the Predator is an alien, and I'm not suggesting that our big bad be an alien.
Sure. I
still think you were on the money that it should be something hellbound.
The Predator actually follows a lot of the slasher tropes. It is the relentless stalker.
Yeah. The relentless stalker. That's our fiend.
Sure.
To borrow the word you used moments ago. So I want to suggest we take Predator and insert the Scooby Gang into it and see what we can do with that.
Okay.
So instead of a jungle, it's a small town, or it's a desert mountain cabin, right? Mm-hmm. And instead of an elite force of muscle-bound, sexual tyrannosaurs, we have a nerd and a socialite and a cool kid and a stoner, right? Like, and oh God, you know what? I just realized maybe we should have looked at Cabin in the Woods, which is one of my all-time favorites.
It's a great movie, but the heroes, sort of by design, they're archetypal, but they're not memorable. Right? Like you don't remember their names.
No.
Granted, I don't know if I remember anyone's names in it, but again, I feel like that's sort of by design. Everyone's just supposed to be their archetype.
Their archetype, the nerd, the virgin, the jock. Yeah.
Even the villains play into their archetypal roles.
Yeah. I do like the organization, the company within. Not that I want I would rather go the way of Invincible, where the Men in Black are good guys. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess I could have just said the Men in Black, because the Men in Black are good guys, but the Cloak and Dagger organization that sort of is putting the veil over the world exists in a capacity. Like my suggestion earlier of a sheriff saying like, hey, I'm calling the A-team. It would be more of like, hey, our guys are dealing with an alien threat in New York and some werewolves in Wisconsin, but we got some slashers that seemingly are below our interest, but your team is perfectly suited for taking these out. You're freelancers. We're calling you in, Scooby Gang. Go take care of this Predator.
Okay.
Does that do anything for you? Does that sort of tickle your fancy, or am I so far off the mark right now? You're like, no, scrap it. Put it in the bin. Put it in the bin.
It's the larger organization I don't care for.
Okay.
I can get it. I can get on board with Scoob and the gang fighting Predator.
Fighting the Predator.
Just real quick, an idea I had was, what if we did an anthology movie, right? Mm-hmm. Like 4 or 5 shorts. They're all slasher movie shorts.
Okay.
So the first one ends with someone actually like they survive. They manage to defeat
final girl.
Yeah, a final girl in the first short.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one's happening, and the slasher that comes out now, the monster that comes out now, and is killing people. And then almost as a Deus Ex Machina, the final girl from the first one shows up and kills that monster.
Okay.
And then we go into the third one, and maybe she shows up a little earlier so that we get a longer fight to see that happen.
She just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of like that. That's a fun idea.
And so then in the final one, she's there pretty much from the beginning, fighting this monster.
And she's brought the 3 others with her who have survived the other short films.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like,
but ultimately, what we're doing,
Nick Fury in one movie.
ultimately, what we're doing is she's the memorable hero, right?
Well, yeah. I think a lot. Story aside, it really is pivotal to cast someone who's memorable, right? Sigourney Weaver, Bruce Campbell. Who else was suggesting here?
Reggie,
right? I mean, Reggie, everybody. Who couldn't forget him? I've tried. Okay. So, I sorry to keep throwing the Men in Black at you, but to take the Scooby Gang and pit them against Predator, not Predator, but taking Predator as a premise, as a template for going off into a location to take out monster.
Yeah.
Right. Like you said, Predator as well as Alien follow the checklist of horror movie tropes, but just set in very different places. It's not in a neighborhood. It's in a spaceship and it's in the jungle. But those movies do follow the horror movie checklist really well. That's why they're so damn good, because they subverted the standards of the genre while staying so true to them.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting we do that. I'm perfectly content filming this in the desert mountains in my backyard here, just because they're right there. And it could be Hills Have Eyes, but they're possessed by demons. It's the Hills Have Eyes rednecks, but there are demons also.
Well,
I'll give you cannibals, Jim. I'll give you cannibals. If you want cannibals.
I love me some cannibals.
Jim's always trying to make me swallow cannibals as a villain, and I'm always like grossed out and disturbed by it.
Which is what you're supposed to be.
I know, but I'm to the point where I don't want to write that, or I don't want to make it. I'll do zombies. Hell, there's a conversation of what is a zombie and what is a cannibal in one of our screenplays.
I wrote a short story that discusses it.
So, you want Hills Have Eyes cannibal demons? Let's do it.
What if... Where was I going with this? What if to sort of follow that premise? Okay, now I'm I'm about to pitch back to you the idea of that alpha killer.
Okay, really? Okay, go ahead.
What if we open the movie, or what if the movie is almost like a Scooby Gang, like a bunch of these survivors are all coming. They've been drawn to this town for different reasons, or because their killer, the trail their killer has left, has brought them to this town. And so in so doing, we meet all of them in the first act, and they all meet each other. And we could theme them around their monsters, right? So the person who is pursuing the Freddy monster, the dream demon, has some sort of like dream power. That's just what they're able to. They're a somnambulist.
What right? is a somnambulist?
They sleepwalk.
Ooh,
right. So they're able to like their dreams become a part of reality, which is why they're able to fight in reality with dream power.
Wow. All right. This is interesting. So that'd be like our magic user,
sort
essentially.
of.
Okay.
And then like there's I don't know what Jason Voorhees' survivor's power would be. Like they use the power of canoeing.
No,
and
like probably
and like woodsmanship.
Like machete versus machete, or baseball bat. Like Tommy Jarvis used a baseball bat. So having like blunt instrumentation,
almost
the barbarian,
like a Casey Jones.
Yeah, sure, like Casey Jones Ninja Turtle style, but he's the barbarian.
So he shows up, right, and they're all kind of drawn to this town, and they all start meeting each other, and so they like okay, clearly you're not a bad guy. So why are you here? Why am I here? So you're saying there's another killer, and so basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to build a space for our characters to come together, and now in a classic slasher horror movie style, we will start picking them off.
Okay.
But we've also made them memorable to begin with.
Sure. So then you feel bad, like, we lost the
we lost the slugger, right?
Slugger, somnambulist could one of them be?
You can call him a dream warrior.
The dream warrior,
the dreamer.
Could one
sleepwalker?
Be the sleepwalker? Could one of them be like someone who agility and speed, they're able to run away? Like that's how Lori was able to get away from Michael, was that she just was able to outlast him, right? I'm trying to think of like another character.
Sure. What would, right? Like someone who would the stalker's adversary be?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all sort of stalkers, but
right.
In the Michael Myers capacity.
Right. Like if our slugger is sort of seek and destroy versus the monster of like a Jason Voorhees.
Like I'll fight back type thing.
And the alternative is like in Michael Myers movies, which is run away, as opposed to run to. Not that I want to create a coward, but just a survivor.
It's just, why would they pursue their fiend? Gotcha.
Yeah, because if their whole shtick is that they escape these things,
like why would I go toward him?
Why am I here?
But like you could have
screenwriter,
the mastermind or puzzler, like someone who whether it's Saw. I initially thought Hellraiser, not necessarily the first one, but the others. There's a girl who's like, she's a savant with puzzles, and so they get her to solve these puzzles, or this puzzle, the puzzle box.
So they're there
also because they have the same thing in Cube. They have the same thing. They have this type of character.
This third is there to outwit. Yeah. Like I'm here to outwit the villain.
Yeah.
Okay. You said girl, but that made me think or like a child,
Saw,
like a child survivor. Like some of these movies have like
she's like 14. Yeah.
Okay.
She's
in
Hellraiser, it's like adults. So even though a lot of these are teen slashers and a 14-year-old really wouldn't stand out, in Hellraiser, a young girl was stood out amongst the rest of the cast.
I'm saying your puzzler is an adult. Could be. Also a fourth character is a child survivor.
Oh, I see.
So like the kid who survives Chucky, who then goes on to survive Chucky multiple times. Some of the kids involved in like Conjuring and Insidious. Like there's a lot
How and why would the child be pursuing their fiend and or without adult supervision? Not saying there aren't kids that just are out in the world.
Right.
But
there just aren't any euthanasia as far as
terrible joke.
Forget everything I just said. Okay, right. Having this character only works if we can figure out why are they here? Why did they come to here?
Tom Sawyer. If you're not going to make them the Velma, right? They're essentially a Tom Sawyer. Is my thought, right? Like they're plucky enough to go off on their own, and they also feel like, well, I got to stop the bad guy. Just like, I guess it was Huck. Was it Huck Finn? Huck Finn actually wanted to stop the pirates.
Sure.
Tom Sawyer wanted to cause trouble.
Yeah. Having a kid who's survived, who is now like looking for trouble. Like, no, I want it. I got a chip on my shoulder and I'm going after trouble because I got nothing else but this. I'm a kid.
Dang, that is a jaded kid.
Well, but I don't know if that works because is that too similar to, this is a kid using a slingshot as opposed to the slugger swinging a freaking baseball bat and fire axe, right?
Well, the kid has the power of plucky, right? Oh, they're small, and so they get away through small spaces, and they see things when others don't because they're overlooked, and they got Hobbit powers. Is really what it comes down to. The same reason Gandalf got Bilbo is the same reason a kid is on a monster hunting team.
So we have dreamer, slugger, puzzler, kid. Call me plucky. Are we going to hope the kid dies? That's on us as writers to make sure that this isn't a kid that is so obnoxious.
No, the kid should not. No, that would be bad.
That would be bad. Well, we can't just automatically assume this kid's going to live.
It's true. That's also true.
They need to be a threat, or they need to be threatened.
Yeah.
Right. We have a team of 4 here. To go up.
Do we like that 4?
I like that 4. I mean, it's almost, we're following kind of like D&D.
A mastermind, a mystic, a fighter. a
rogue or
a mascot.
Mascot. It's Scrappy Doo.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, actually rogue right, sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
The sneak.
Yeah.
Is sort of the trope, the archetype the kid fulfills. Maybe we don't make them 9 or 10. Maybe we make them 14.
14, yeah. So that they are like the kids from Stranger Things, right? Like they are
even a
little bit older than that.
A season or two later. Yeah.
That they are experienced.
Monster Squad.
Yeah. They're that level,
Yeah.
but dealing with. Okay, so that's a good team of 4 there. And now
the Frog Brothers. Sorry, I'm thinking of all these. Oh, the Frog Brothers. They're memorable.
From what?
From Lost Boys.
Ugh. I don't like Lost.
What? The Frog Brothers are awesome.
You remembered them. I did not. Someone else was shouting at the podcast. I can't believe they haven't mentioned the Frog Brothers. So are they frogs?
No.
Like they are green?
No, that's just their name.
And they eat flies?
Yeah, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
They are Teenage Mutant Ninja frogs?
Well, no. I mean, you remember the frogs? Genghis Frog, Napoleon Frog, Alexander Frog.
You're thinking of Lost Bayous.
Oh.
Yeah. So I see where
That's a really weird crossover we just did. I hope everyone else followed along.
Okay. Who are they fighting? What's the beast? What's the monster? How is this not just a derivative slasher movie?
Sure. So my first thought is, so we make each of their slashers.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, which each sort of become a minion to our main villain.
Bad. Okay. Now we're in
the big bad. Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind for me is a warlock, someone with a big old magic book, and they're drawing the power to them.
They have the Book of the Dead from Evil Dead.
So
then we can rope in the Raimi verse stuff.
Yes,
we okay. Here
well,
we go.
If that's the case, Ash Williams shows up as one of the.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to say our warlock that is doing this has the actual Book of the Dead, so that we solidify this within the Raimi universe. So then, therefore, if we wanted to continue the series, we can draw from Ash Williams' Evil Dead stuff, or Drag Me to Hell, or Darkman. There you go. I just want to satisfy Shane's demand that we create a Raimi verse.
That's fair.
A warlock with the Book of the Dead. Now, we haven't done this before, but I'm going to point out that's what we did in LXG. Hans Gruber had the Book of the Dead and was raising Cenobites.
It didn't have to be the Book of the Dead. And
okay, I threw that. Okay, that was on me. That was on me. That one's on me.
I mean, and also just because it's a book doesn't mean like not every book is the Book of the Dead.
Is this the Lord of Illusion?
Some are the oh crap, what was it?
Book of Life.
The Witches the Maleficarum.
It's the women from The Wicker Man. And they're evil bees.
Evil bees.
And they are the
guide to evil beekeeping.
Yeah.
The bees.
I think you're onto something with drawing these 4 people together. And like, okay, this is going to probably seem blasphemous, but one of my favorite slasher movies in the few that I truly enjoy is Freddy vs. Jason. I saw it 3 times in the theaters because it was so much fun. And I know it's a shitty movie by comparison to what the fans of these what you all love, but it was a lot of fun to see these 2 worlds combine.
Sure.
Effectively so. I don't think I'm alone in liking that movie, but you gave me an oh wow like I am. Am I on an island on this?
No, no, there are a lot of people who find that movie to be quite fun and good.
Yeah. So to bring together 4 people who've survived, we've got a doll killer, a Freddy, a Jason Voorhees, and a Mike Myers. Michael Myers. I got to stop saying because it just flashes in my head.
Baby, yeah. I want to do any other. I want to do any other quote. I want to do like a "So I Married an Axe Murderer" quote.
Yeah.
But like that's not as instantly recognizable.
Girl, oh, girl.
There you go. Yeah.
You will be killed. I'll be the one who does
it.
You're welcome, 3 people. Is that so? Like those are the 4 creatures. The thing is that like a Jason Voorhees and a Michael Myers are so similar.
Well, so what?
Oh no, the puzzler would go up against a Cenobite. Sorry,
sort of. No, actually, I liked. So I don't want to do. I want to do. Variations. I don't want to say it is Jason, Freddy, Michael. And
it's Chucky. I'm saying analogs for it.
So the analogs would have slightly different power sets, if you will. And so the Michael Myers, the reason the mastermind or puzzler is the pursuer there is because our Michael Myers is not just a relentless stalker. They leave clues and puzzles and hints.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So almost your classic serial killer / Saw jigsaw type. So that's why they're doing that. So the killer is a mastermind themselves.
Gotcha.
Our big bad, the reason they're doing this, the reason they're drawing these 4 to them is because they actually are going to take all 4 of them and sacrifice them to take their powers. And so he will have all 4. He will have dream powers and mind powers.
And puzzler powers and plucky powers.
Yeah, basically.
Fair. Yeah, drawing them in by using their own monsters against them in order to
no, he's not trying to like they're the hunters, the slayers, they're
he's drawing
the monsters in.
He's drawing the monsters in. I misunderstood.
I'm right. He's going to Highlander them. I'm going to take your power.
I was misinterpreting and saying that you were suggesting he's stealing from the heroes. He needed the heroes to come here, so he drew their own monsters out to draw the heroes to him, so that then he could build up to the peak of their energy levels of
sure.
Like once they've defeated their monster, then he can sacrifice them and draw their. Now, he can Highlander.
Hearing that out loud, I thought that would be almost too complex, but actually, I kind of like the sound of that. So then we have a confrontation between hero and villain, and maybe we mix them up so it's not everyone versus their counterpart.
Right. Like having them to have to switch for some reason.
Yeah. And so then like there becomes sort of each fight becomes heightened, and
having the slugger just
right before the fiend kills the hero, the slayer, the survivor, the whatever, the victim.
Yeah.
Like they stop. And then are the big bad warlock. I keep imagining the warlock from the movie Warlock. I don't know if you remember the movie Warlock.
I'm
the guy
sure
who played the
does.
warlock played the scientist in Arachnophobia.
Okay.
He's a British guy with a blonde ponytail.
Huh. We don't have a monster. We don't have like a creature.
Well, no.
Survivor.
Well, I mean, not really.
Like we don't have.
I don't see them as. Slashers to me are more.
You're right. You're right. We're dealing with slashers here.
And also, it's a dream demon. That's kind of monstery.
That's good. Yeah. Okay. So just before the kill's about to happen, the warlock shows up, either stops the killer from killing the victim, or kills them both at the same time.
Our slasher, our fiend, our monster is about to kill whatever hero. Like at least one of them, I think it'd be cool. Like literally, they're about to do the coup de grace, and they stop. And the hero's like, what's happening? And the warlock steps out. Like maybe this is the first time we meet the warlock, and they're like, frightened to perfection, and then like casts a spell and kills them,
sucks him out. That's cool. I like this. This offers a lot of like tropey set pieces that have diversions in the tropes, right? The question is though, who's our final girl? Who's our last man standing?
Well, and now that they all have personalities, I like them all and I want them all to survive.
Yeah, we've put ourselves in a conundrum here of like,
I mean, they barely have personalities. Like the guy has a bat. I don't want the bad guy to die.
Right, but written to the strengths of the tropes, right? That
sure.
Our slugger would be Ash Williams, right? Our slugger would be the cocky one-liner, batter up, motherfucker, boom, right? Like our puzzler is, it got some
almost right. Like they almost have to die because they're too smart.
Right.
Not saying not saying they behave too smart.
Right.
I'm saying for the sake of our plot, they cannot outthink it.
I'll offer this as an ending. Then the puzzler would figure it out too late, allow themselves to be killed, but they've done some trickery stuff to be the one who shows up in the end to like, I
I see.
Like for example, if their jigsaw's about to kill them, and they puzzle it out in the split second before they die to then possess, like to go into Jigsaw, so that once everything is said and done, Jigsaw turns on our warlock and like it was me the whole time.
So we do have another option.
Yes,
and that's to truck in some more characters.
Okay. Some more team members here, so we go beyond the 4, and so then we hit.
So the 4 we've named are the ones that survive, and so we come up with some others that get cut down.
We got our John Constantine. We got we have another Lori.
Have an actual Scoob gang.
Oh God! See, now we might be delving into territory where it's like too many characters to juggle. Because yes, we still need victims to kill in a slasher movie, and that's the location we're at. Those are the innocent victims who are running and screaming for our heroes to come in and try to save. Right? I see what you're saying. I was like, if we had 6 more characters here, we have 6 more victims to play with.
Yeah,
and our 4 characters can survive. But I think that would be expanding it too far.
Okay.
And the most I'd be able to say is like maybe 2 more. If we want to have an additional 6, like 5 and 6, but I think sticking with the 4.
Right. So we do have one more.
Okay.
We have the person who is a townie.
Is this the one's like, you don't want to go in there?
No. Not
that kind of townie. Not the Harbinger.
Literally not the Harbinger. Literally someone who lives in this town and is like, why is this happening to my town? And they're actually getting chased around, and the way they stand out, this hero, sort of the same way the warlock is taking power, and like by the end of it will have the dream demon's powers and the relentless stalker's ability to essentially teleport places and never run and never fatigue. And so for the kid, right, we were just sort of thinking Chucky. I'm thinking we do a weird amalgam of, we get Chucky, we do like a Frankenstein thing, so like an animated mannequin, just a big Chucky. Is that
I like that. Yeah, like some sort of Frankenstein monster / doll,
or like
tropes.
What if it's like a living pile of stuff?
Okay,
so sort of like
Gus.
Yeah, that's for shorthand. I'm
garbage monster.
I'm thinking of the cartoon Clutter, but Clutter was a good guy, and it was for kids, and Clutter helped the kids solve problems. But this one would be bad and would kill people and stuff like maybe it was the kids' toys, and all the kids' toys were like the entire room was possessed, and so it's all of his stuff, and it's all walked away.
They call him Toy Room. That's like, that would be a 70s slasher movie called Toy Room.
The Toy Room?
No, just Toy Room, just Toy Room. So like the bad guy, you got Mike Myers. God damn it, you got Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Leatherface, and Toy Room.
Right, so there you get, with that one is where your sort of monstery kind of thing comes in.
To go to your 5th character being a townie, I feel like then you automatically know this is our new last guy, our new final girl /
Why is that a
survivor.
problem?
Well, like right out of the gate to know like the newbie here is going to be this new character.
Sure, in Evil Dead we didn't know Ash was going to survive, but in Evil Dead 2 we did.
How about right? May I offer this suggestion? Having to go back to Scream, you have Last Girl with Neve Campbell, you have Courtney Cox's character Gail Weathers, while I'm remembering this character, and Deputy Dewey. Deputy Dewey being the doofy idiot townie cop who ends up surviving this entire thing by pure luck. If you use the trope of a dumb police, like county sheriff, like townie cop. Don Knotts, what am I thinking of? Mayberry.
Sure.
Now, Andy, listen up. Not saying that we go to that extent, but then it's not an obvious 19-year-old survivor who's going to make it through this whole thing. I want to just if we can use this 5th character as someone who's sort of seeming in the place of information dump sidekick.
I mean that is sort of what they're there for, but I was going to use them to basically be a counter to the warlock. The warlock is taking the literal power, the supernatural power from the beings, and our survivor was going to basically learn how to fight all of these monsters from the heroes who all die, and they are now equipped to fight the warlock.
Okay. Suggestion. I like this. I like what you're saying about learning. Could this be someone who has become obsessed with investigating all these stories? And so someone who like keeps tabs on these characters so that when they converge at a location, they show up essentially like Gale Weathers from Scream to be like, I know who you are. You survived the X, Y, and Z with this monster. Oh my God, that's your monster. Like they have accumulated all this knowledge, right? So that ultimately as they're dropped one by one, this person has inadvertently like, wait, I actually know how to survive all this because I've been studying the 4 survivors and their 4 monsters respectively.
You think that I'm not compelled by that character being this cool, memorable hero.
Yeah, that does not satisfy the end result of, do we want more of this character's adventures?
Because I was thinking about the 4 we do have, and I think
I'd rather watch
murder,
all 4 of
murder
them.
mysterying one of them to survive is just going to be a little disappointing.
Taking the 4 and figuring out which one lives is disappointing.
Right. If it's the kid, that's cliche. If it's the mastermind, well, of course he's smart enough. If it's Slugger, well, it's because he just brute forced his way through it. If it's the dream guy, mystical powers. Whereas if all of them die and someone else basically puts the puzzle together of all of their stuff,
damn, I think we've discovered probably the inherent flaw in slasher movies, and it is the hero. Like, how do you make a memorable hero in a franchise that you want to see? It's been done. Don't get me wrong. We have a series of Scream movies. We have more than one Tommy Jarvis movie, the Friday the 13th movies. Laurie has been around for how many Halloweens at this point? So it's not Ash, right? Like, it's not Ripley. It can be done, but it still comes down to who those characters are going up against, aside from Ash, that make those movies worth watching, or why people continue to
sort of. Well, I mean, there's a reason why Dream Warriors, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, was, in my opinion, really good, really popular. It's because the Dreamers who came together and like, we can do it, we can defeat Freddy. Their dreams were very iconic, right? Like the kid in the wheelchair was like really into D&D, and so he did magic, and it was only like it became Freddy had to outwit these dreamers.
Oh shit!
And I think all of them would have been iconic and memorable had any of them survived, but they died.
How do you?
And in the end, right, the one that survived, Nancy, if I remember it, she was just tenacious. I don't really remember.
Yeah,
she didn't have a gimmick that helped her dream better.
How do we defeat this villain and leave the audience going, damn, that hero and or heroes were the best, give me more of them, without cheating? And what I mean by cheating is killing off characters and then bringing them back to life at the end of the movie. Like, that feels cheap to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that.
Like, if death is death, I want the death to be definitive unless they're being literally reanimated as zombies or like reanimated corpses. So then, but of our 4 characters, how do you introduce a 5th character as cool as these 4 characters?
They wouldn't start that. That's the thing. They don't start that. That's the other reason I'm wanting it to be more of an origin. Ash didn't start that cool. Ripley didn't start that cool. None of the memorable characters, like, we all got their origin. We all saw how they became cool. They survived this terrible thing and then went on to be badass and iconic.
So sell me on this 5th townie not following don't give me an obvious route. Like, how do I sit down and watch this and not immediately go, oh, well, they survived this?
So before I do that, why is that terrible? Why is that the worst thing? Watching Scream, I guess it wasn't obvious, but I feel like it should have been obvious. Nev Campbell was going to survive.
Was going to be last girl. I guess you got a fair point. With movies like these, the tropes exist and continue to exist and persist because the fans accept them as is. I suppose I'm trying to elevate this beyond the cliche, and it might not be necessary.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the notion of elevate. You're suggesting bettering a thing, and I think the thing is fine as is.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that it's not broke. Why fix it? So why not introduce a fifth townie who bears witness to all of this and thus becomes the hero in the end, but make that character interesting to me. Like I'm not interested in that character.
You mentioned a handful, like honestly having it doesn't have to be, we don't have to follow just 5 characters, 5 slayers and a survivor. We can have other townspeople surviving different encounters. We can have your dopey police officer. We can have the gossip columnist trying to do an actual report. Like, oh, I got to write this. I got to do some real reporting here. Yeah. So maybe we don't know which one of them will get it. And maybe like to make an iconic one, we need to kind of have one of them survive.
What's this origin? I'm coming on board.
But basically,
like, I still have my foot on the platform, but I'm coming on board to say, yes, I can see this being the origin for our new hero, that they bear witness to 4 other badasses from movies that don't exist, but you understand the tropes that they come from, and they thus get to defeat the warlock in a memorable, badass way. This is verging into the territory of the completely delusional. Hey, let's make a viral video, right? Make an iconic character, Jim.
Yeah, go do it. Okay, watch me do it.
Tommy from the streets. Yeah.
You don't know me. Yeah, I do.
Boy, I want to just tangent and apologize for how many inside jokes we've put in this episode.
Yeah. Half of them are from Misfit Heights,
Jim's
zombie puppet musical.
Jim's feature film.
Very hard to get hold of.
It is. Anyhow, so I'm coming on board here about like creating this 5th character, but then make them as cool as the 4 other characters. Is it basically getting all 4 of the characters' abilities and traits combining into one being that then defeats the warlock? I'm suggesting a Voltron in a sense.
I mean, I sort of was as well. I wasn't imagining them like quite literally Voltroning, but I imagine
they're like 10 feet tall. It's amazing. Yeah. The kid is their arm.
Like I don't know, like they get the amulet from the sleepwalker. Yeah. So now they can have waking dreams.
The bat or the fire axe from our
like
slugger.
That. Yeah. Right. So they kind of take parts.
The puzzler's like journal.
Slide rule.
The puzzler's journal.
Sure. Yeah.
Which would have like
all kinds of notes about yeah.
And then what do they get from the plucky kid? The slingshot? No, that's not good enough.
Maybe the backwards cap.
The snarky attitude.
Yeah.
Well, Slugger had the one-liners, right? That's our Jack Burton, right? But the kid had the snark because growing up, honestly, reading Spider-Man, one of Spider-Man's best powers is he never shuts up.
I mean, it's not a power. Yeah. Okay.
Abilities. I'm sorry.
No. Okay. It's a power.
How dare
he has the power to not shut up. Didn't know it was a power.
No,
you heard it here.
Don't you talk down to me. You son of a... The most amount of cursing in an episode today as well. Everybody.
It's true. Yeah.
I think I've dropped them all.
I mean, they also don't have to be that. The kid could have an amulet. Like that's actually what protects him from toy box,
toy room.
Toy room. Sorry.
I don't know. Toy box is pretty good too. Rah, rah, rah.
I'm gonna eat you.
So getting the 4 items and whatever personality traits they can sort of glean off of them to then defeat the warlock in the end and become the hero that saves the day. If we have like a really cool final set piece to go up against this warlock, I think that'll probably solidify all of this.
Sure.
Right. So hell, you want to drag some Lovecraftianisms in here. It might be the place to do it. Like
I wasn't even like holding back. I don't like.
What can we do?
I'm wanting to stick pretty close to the. I know I introduced some magic and stuff like that, but I want to stick pretty close to the slasher.
Okay.
Theme.
So what's the final showdown? It's on a dock by a lake. There's a cabin over there. They have to throw down somehow.
Literally a boathouse.
Yeah. Do you know who my father is? What? It's his boathouse right there. What's the final showdown? How do these? Because if you think, listing off the ones I know, Michael gets shoved out of a window after Laurie finally takes him out. Freddy's defeated Freddy actually wins in the end of the first Friday, the Nightmare on Elm Street. Jason Voorhees.
Wait, how did they think they defeated him?
They killed him. They killed him in the dream.
Didn't they pull him? No, I thought they pulled.
They pulled him into the real world, then killed him. But then he ended up.
And then
surprise. Yeah. Jason was stabbed, burned, drowned, beheaded, like all those.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mike Myers was beheaded a few times too. So how do we destroy this warlock? And thus, okay, I'm just gonna say, killing the warlock, however we do it, and like destroying the book. But now we get my Ghostbusters the EPA screwed up, releasing all of the beings across, and now our main character's like, well, time to go take out all those things.
What? Here, an idea occurred to me.
Mm-hmm.
So we build it up. This survivor is getting the bits and pieces from everyone else to fight all of them.
Yeah.
None of the slashers have been killed. They're killing all kinds of people all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
The final showdown, the warlock draws the 4 killers to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the heroes are like, no, I got to stop them. And all 4 killers murder the warlock.
Oh.
And the warlock's spirit like explodes outward, killing the 4 killers, or absorbing them and shooting into our survivor, who becomes possessed by the warlock and is the villain. And so now
I'm smiling.
Our deputy and reporter have to now take out the warlock, who has achieved what they wanted to.
They have the power of all 4 heroes and all 4 villains in our new avatar.
Basically, yeah.
Holy shit!
Who we were building up to be like
the hero.
Oh, you'll be the one to take him out.
Screw the cop and the reporter. That's the end of the movie.
So we don't even know who the hero is.
No, the final moment is the warlock has achieved victory and has possessed this being.
Okay,
we've oh God, we didn't, but it's not a hero then. We've created a villain that can go on.
I mean, I know how, like, yeah, the villain would go on. I would actually have the cop and the reporter.
Mm-hmm.
They would become the heroes. I would have them recur.
Okay.
They would be chasing him. Like they would do stuff like, because the killer would then be going from town to town, taking more power, stuff like. And actually, if you want to franchise it, they are even the killer is going to towns, killing other killers,
to
take their
to
power,
absorb them.
And
they're like an anti-hero because
sort of, yeah. Except they're doing it to kill more people themselves, and our cop and reporter have to do what they can to. So at the end of the second movie, they would, right? they would finally think they stopped the killer.
I think you're onto something here. I think that him ending with this character like absorbing all the heroes and villains, and their entire motivation is to wipe out powerful beings, undead beings, slashers or whatnot, absorbing their power to get all of them more powerful, to then go to the next one and keep knocking them off, so that their end game is to accumulate so much power they can kill at will, like kill at their leisure. But they are
kill death.
Yeah, like sure that this murderous. It's a hero who murders bad guys, like a villain who becomes obsessed with knocking off anything paranormal or supernatural or powerful to sponge their ability.
Be it slasher or survivor.
Yes. So it's like if the reporter and the cop are there, like the cop's got the gun on him and the reporter's like, holy shit, you just did all this. And then the warlock is like, yeah, there are 4 less killers on this planet now.
I mean, I'd want to massage that dialogue, but
no, it's that or nothing. I walk right now, you finish this episode
the
without
movie
me.
Ends on that line or nothing.
There's your memorable hero, because
I mean, they're not the hero; they're the villain.
No, but they aren't.
The cop and the reporter become because they go to I'm imagining they go to this next town, and like the cop tries pulling hey, cops in this town, I'm also and they're. reporter's all like, I'm a reporter. I'm doing a terrible job.
No, your dialogue's as good as mine. I think what you're doing though is that they, even if they are good characters, they aren't the memorable character leaving this movie. The memorable character is the warlock who absorbed the heroes and the villains. That is the iconic character leaving this, that people are going to go, more of that, please. And then when you see the preview for the second one, it's like, oh, they brought the cop and the reporter back. Nah, come on. We were so close, Jim.
We are. So close. I just don't agree that that's the hero. I think that's the villain.
It is the villain, but they're
also you're wanting to.
They're Dexter.
You're wanting to have.
Is Dexter the hero?
You're wanting to put your steak inside the pudding.
Yes, put the steak in the pudding. I want chocolate pudding with medium rare steak bits in it. Delicious. This is how I eat. What did I just say? No, this is great. I lost my train of thought. Someone do a playback here. What did I say? Someone tell me.
We'll wait.
Well, I'm not gonna do it. This is.
I'm I'm wondering, is that a fun movie? Is that a fun twist at the end?
I think so. Dexter. Is Dexter the hero in his story?
But you know it from the that's like making a movie. It's like making a Sherlock Holmes movie.
Uh-huh.
And then at the end, it turns out Sherlock was Moriarty.
Okay.
Is it satisfying if at the end of Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's slain and his spirit goes into Nancy? And everyone's like, oh shit, you're Freddy. And she's all like, yuppers, see ya, kiddos.
No, that's not satisfying.
That's what's happening here.
But we've then just created this iconic villain. So the only thing I'd suggest is that the cop and the reporter need to kill the villain so that they win the day. Like, because if you just want the warlock survives to be challenged again in the sequel, we're just falling into the trope of following the villain to the sequel and not the heroes. So my suggestion of creating a warlock whose entire motivation is to rid the world.
I think we're are we supposed to make the villain forgettable? Was that a part of the demand?
Well, no, but okay, fine.
Because Ripley is tied to the alien.
Right.
It's not fair, but no one says, "Oh man, the new Alien movie's coming out. Can't wait to see Ripley." Right. You just assume you're going to see Ripley. But, with now the exception there is Ash Williams.
Exactly.
The new Evil Dead movie's coming out. Oh man, what's Ash going to do now?
What's he going to be up to now? So therefore, in order to achieve that, which our demand was to create hero or heroes that we want to see more of.
Oh, that's the formula. That's what we do. That's what we didn't do.
What? Follow
the reason
Evil Dead?
The reason Ash becomes so iconic is because the villain isn't, because it's ubiquitous. It is the evil. It's deadites. Mm-hmm. It's any dead body. It's not a specific slasher.
Do we need to rewind 90 minutes in order to figure this out again?
This will just be like Terminator, where like we knock it out in one sentence. No, I like most. Like I would go see this movie. I might like that ending. Mm-hmm. I might not. I don't know. I like having it be like, I'm the villain now. Got your friend. Bye-bye. And then I'm like, the dopey cop and the
Hold up. We start with a group showing up and sort of becoming a team, the mystery team, the Scooby Gang, to then go after bad guys, and then they die in the end, while introducing this newer character who is sort of a moral compass, along for the ride, learns from everybody. We also have a cop and a reporter. It doesn't have to be those two, but we're shorthanding this. So that in the end, the warlock taking over the hero, our new hero, our last person, our survivor, only to then like, ha, I have all the power I wanted, to be overcome by the inherent goodness of the hero that they took over, and then saying, I can keep the warlock at bay while utilizing all these powers. Reporter, cop, we are now the new team that is going to follow the evil and take it out. Maybe.
Maybe.
Because then, so what I like, the warlock possessing the good like our hero, after taking out all 4 villains and all 4 heroes, and then possessing number 5, and then be like, I have all the powers with oh God, I'm being overcome by goodness. I'm making it sound really dumb. I'm not selling you on this.
No, I'm mostly on board. I'm having lots of ideas, and we don't have time.
You can spout them out.
I actually had an idea for a cannibal slasher movie. I've had it in my pocket for a while.
Is this a long idea that we should save for another conversation?
It's a short idea. Okay. Short idea. It's about a group of people that go to a town. Town's full of cannibals. They get after our main characters, and one of the characters survives, gets their revenge on the town. Mm-hmm. In the end, they find out, oh no, this town is actually part of a larger incorporation, and there's lots of these towns all over the country.
Yeah,
suggesting many cannibal towns, but also our character might then go from town to town killing cannibals.
Okay,
and that character would, by the end of it, become iconic.
Okay,
just by they would almost have to, because they are what's going to stand out. There isn't like an iconic villain in this. It's just a bunch of different terrible monster people. So then our character is the one we attach to. I realize that's not what someone wants to hear. Like, you're going to love this character because there's no one else to love. but that's sort of how that would work. So I said it out loud. Sounds terrible out loud. Sound great in my head.
No, that
not so good out loud. We're gonna go with super bad good guy.
Well, what about the notion of the warlock possessing our 5th man, our 5th character, thinking now I can travel the country and the world, killing in it, and I don't know, like Venom, I suppose, where it's like a symbiotic relationship where like the goodness of our 5th character is what keeps the warlock from gaining control.
Sort of. The goodness, actually, I don't think the goodness of the character does much, but we can have the character come through. The warlock is suppressed because even though the warlock took the quote unquote power of the mastermind, it's the reporter who got the journal and finds the incantation used to trap the warlock.
I'm just gonna throw this out. I like that to make our sheriff characters sort of play a part here.
The sidekicks help.
The sidekicks help. If the cop just shoots the warlock and is like, why didn't anyone ever think to try this before? Like, there's no bullets being deflected.
I almost wanted to that would be an ongoing joke. He's trying it with every killer.
Yeah. And like, it doesn't work on like the Jason Voorhees. It does like stop using your gun. It doesn't work against these things. But then like going
up against, try.
Going against the warlock and like flesh wounds him like, what the hell? I can't believe it works.
Well, I mean, bullets, God, my only weakness.
Bullets traveling at such terminal velocity.
We got something here.
We will of course keep discussing this and try to find our way. We'll keep stumbling through, but if the whole notion of this, so to go back to our original demand from Smile on Camera. Yeah. Studios, and then mustache under dreadlocks.
Yep.
That was the Raimi verse. I don't think we met that at all.
No, we did not.
Sorry,
we failed.
Shane.
We failed that one entirely.
But as far as the monster verse, well, okay. So Shane inspired at least me to mash together a bunch of ideas, like a bunch of different franchise to make a team movie. So thank you, Shane, for that at the very least. But if the goal of this was to craft a slasher movie that leaves us wanting more from our survivor as opposed to the villain, we've defeated the villain by killing off the warlock. The hero has gotten the power of the 4 survivors and the warlock in them now.
Because that's what the warlock wanted.
Could we just twist that so that the...
Well, right, like essentially... I mean, it's a little Deus Ex, but that's what the reporter doing the incantation does, right? Like the decrepit warlock is
okay.
chopped up by the monsters. They all die. They go into the young hero who has all the powers, who's all like, I am now the warlock. I have youth and power. And what are you doing there? And the reporter,
put that book down.
The reporter finishes hey, put that book down, goes to stop them. The sheriff is shooting him to hold him back. And the reporter gets the incantation done. And the warlock is now subdued. And the hero's like, oh, thank you so much. Oh, you saved me. And like maybe they're a normal person, but like there's little hints that they have the power within them.
I like it, but I'm gonna just do a little twist on that. In the warlock, basically so the warlock kills the heroes, has killed the villains. The three new heroes are standing there, and the warlock declares, "This is what I've done," and now injecting themselves into our hero, our fifth man, right? Like, so all the magic and power, like they're essentially like transferring their power.
Okay.
Right? Like, I'm going to possess you, and injecting the power into them. And the reporter doing the incantation so that the warlock literally just gave all the power away without leaving and possessing the hero.
I really wanted our slashers to chop the warlock up.
Okay. Then we will go with that.
I know there's other ways to, right? They do that for the ritual of he must shed his physical form.
Right.
So he's still there in a spirit form. Right?
Yeah.
So we get Ghost Warlock.
Yeah.
Ghost Warlocks. He's doing Ghost Warlock magic.
Yeah.
Get away from me, cop. Get away from me, reporter. Come here, you person. I want the button. So now I'm shooting my Ghost Warlock power at you to possess you.
Incantation said. Yeah. And now the warlock is left standing there. Oh, you know what? Fuck, he's a freaking warlock. Chop his ass up, and then he forms himself back together. He's got a bunch of magic, so you still get him chopped to bits, but then he just forms himself back together.
Well, that was the shedding of the. Why would he pull? Doesn't matter. Plus, we'll work that out.
I'm just thinking more like the stop motion claymation that would be used to do this effect, since we're using classics now.
That's true.
So then our hero is left with all the power, and the warlock's standing there like, "Why didn't I possess you? What did that book say? Oh no, I have no power left." Bang.
We'll get there. Yeah. Something like that. Sure.
Okay.
I want to put the bad guy. Well, no, I don't.
Long pause.
Yeah, no, it's. I think I'm. This is going to end with me not satisfied.
I think there's a movie here that we could write the first draft of.
Definitely.
I think
there definitely is.
We have a cast of 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 characters, all of varying degrees of responsibility in this plot. That's more than enough victims, plus the occasional innocent bystander is going to get murdered by one monster or another, leading up to a climax. However that climax plays out would be a little bit of workshopping, I think.
Yeah.
But we have all the beats. We have enough here to template this entire film. Like we could beat out a treatment on this tonight.
We could.
Yeah. But we're going to leave it at that for you guys now. We are going to continue chatting about this because we won't be able to help ourselves. But let's wrap this up. What do you say? Okay. Yeah. That's going to do it for this episode. So it was Carrie and Lex and Shane. Shane, we've made our apologies. But Carrie and Lex, did we go in a direction you were anticipating? Did this get you what you had demanded? And to the listeners at large, how did we do? Right? Let us know if we met the demand and if we left anything out. Agree, disagree. What? If we missed something, whatever.
Did you pronounce that right?
I didn't know if I pronounced it correct. Let's do some social stuff. You can find us at studiodemandsit.com, where you can send us a demand. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Studio Demands It. Like, subscribe, and if you feel like giving us a review, you can do that in app. And it's super duper helpful, and it's all we've ever asked for in this world, really, to just be part of the algorithm. All the time. You can find me at TC's Big Head on Twitter and Instagram, and you can also find Jim
there
as well. Thank you to 6'5 Media for giving us this platform. Go check out everything 6'5 has been creating if you're interested. They got Brothers-in-Law. They got Turn by Turn. If you want to look at board games or video games, they've got another Zelda podcast, Top Hat Balloon. Broadway to Broadway. There's lots of different options for you at 6'5 Mia. So please go show some love and support there. Jim, any final thoughts as we move on into the ether here?
Yep.
What's it?
Ash offers his good friend Peter Parker a cabin for his friends to go hang out at for the weekend. And so Peter, taking his girlfriend Mary Jane and his best friend Harry Osborn and his on again, off again girlfriend Gwen Stacy.
Is Flash Thompson there too?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, good. We got 5 of them.
And then he would has to bring his girlfriend as well. So we have 6 people.
We got Betty Brant. That's good.
They all head out to this cabin. Little do they know while they're out there, one of them. I don't know if one of them, I don't want one of them to read something. What happens is they go down into the cellar and, they unlock a thing and it causes a portal to open and a girl comes out with a book and she's like, you have to take this. We need to close this up. It's the girl from Drag Me to Hell. She's escaped from hell with the Necronomicon.
Ooh.
And the Deadites close in on the cabin. Where they all must survive, and most of them don't.
And one addendum on there.
Yeah.
Those Deadites become Vemonites. Venomites? Venom.
I mean, yeah, Venom was technically in a Sam Raimi movie. Does that mean Topher Grace is in there?
No, forget that. Did I pull the steam out of your sails here? Steam? What?
Well, and at some point, either one of the things that they find to defend themselves against the basement witch hung in the corner, either MJ or Gwen Stacy find the chakra. Xena's chakra. The chakra is the name of the circle weapon she has.
Oh my God.
Whip it around the basement.
Does Flash get burned and become Darkman?
What did I miss? Oh, Darkman's not in there. Oh crap. How does Darkman get in there? No, Darkman shows up. He shows it because he was tailing them. Why was he tailing Spider-Man and friends?
Because he doesn't trust
to
Ash.
The cabin.
Because of Ash.
What was the name? Oh, what was the name of the bad guy from Darkman? The Darkman left something in Ash's. He hid something in Ash's car.
It's the Buick,
that
of
Ash
course.
Lent to his good friend Peter Parker to take to the cabin.
Here you go.
And so that's why Darkman has to pursue them out to the woods. And so he tries to help them, and he has to fight like living trees and stuff like that before he gets to the cabin. What did I miss? I
think you nailed
Sam
it.
Raimi.
Good job.
What else did they make?
The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. That's how it ends. A balloon crashes. All right. I'm cutting Jim
on
up.
the basement witch.
It lands on the basement witch.
Yes.
There we go. That's it for this episode. I'm gonna let Jim.
I wanted to get the other demand in.
There you go.
Got the other demand.
You got the other demand in. We'll see you all next time. Good job. Nicely done.